Elon Musk clarifying his bombshell tweet from last week that he has secured funding to take Tesla private, Musk writing today on Tesla's corporate blog. Going back almost 2 years, the Saudi Arabian Sovereign Wealth Fund has approached me multiple times about taking Tesla private. They first met with me at the beginning of 2017 to express this interest because of the important need to diversify away from oil. Obviously, the Saudi Sovereign Fund has more than enough capital needed to execute on such a transaction.
Joining us now to discuss, Paul Ingrassia, editor at the Revs Institute for Automotive Research, and our own Phil LeBeau in Chicago. Paul, what did today's blog post clear up, if anything?
Well, it highlighted an incredibly delicious irony, and that is that Elon Musk, when he originally broke this news, said that one of the reasons he wanted to consider taking the company private is to remove the distractions of being a public company. Well, as we've now learned, the process of going private, if it happens, is going to be enormously distracting and take time away from all kinds of other things like focusing on ramping up Model 3 production, profitability, cash flow, and that sort of thing. There's still lots of questions that are unanswered here. When he said funding was secured last week, why didn't he say, I'm working on funding or in talks and discussions on funding? And I'm sure the SEC is going to be asking those kinds of questions.
Phil, to say, of course, the Saudi Sovereign Wealth Fund could afford it is not the same as they've committed X billion pounds
Correct.
to fund this. So is this a sort of desperate attempt to try and put the SEC off the track of investigating him?
I don't know if it's a desperate attempt, but it's an explanation that I think most people look at and they go, you think because of these meetings, because you thought that things were going to be generally approved, that funding was secured? I think most people look at the explanation in the blog post today and they look at it and they say, really doesn't clarify a whole lot here. Now, whether or not that's enough to mitigate any potential damage with the SEC, that remains to be seen. We still don't know if this is an official investigation by the SEC. There have been reports that they are going to be asking Tesla for some information. Once we get a better sense of just how serious the SEC is about this, we might look back in a couple of months, guys, and say, I remember the time Elon said he had secured funding and, well, he really hadn't secured funding. I think that's what we need to find out is just how serious regulators are about this. Yeah,
I mean, you mentioned, Paul, that there are a number of questions. I guess that's one of them, what the SEC is looking into, if anything, and what the repercussions are for Musk and how much of this is allowed by the rules around tweeting. And the other question is this company going to go private, right? I mean, what are your questions?
Well, all those are the main questions, really, when you think about it. I mean, there was a very prescient commentary today, I thought, by Anthony Curry of Reuters Breaking Views. And he said this is very much of a pattern with Elon Musk. Remember, he makes these statements, then he has a way of saying, oops, and scaling them back a little bit. For example, when the British cave diver in Thailand was going to rescue those boys that were trapped in the cave, and he tweeted out that he was a pedophile. And he apologized for that. And then there was an apology to an analyst who had asked a question at a press conference that Elon Musk had deemed boring and ridiculous and that sort of thing. So this is a bit of a pattern of him of saying things and then trying to wheel back a little bit.
And guys,
Phil,
along those lines,
yeah.
Go ahead, Phil.
I was just saying, along those lines, people have been saying, well, look, what he put out on Twitter, that could pretty much qualify as an 8K. It has the same meaning as that. Sure, maybe if he's acting as the CEO, but he said today in this blog post, well, those are purely my thoughts as an investor in Tesla. What is it? Are you acting personally, independently, or are you acting as the CEO of the company? These are kind of questions that, they're basic questions that investors should have a right to know.
Phil, one other question. If this was just a straight takeover, the Saudis buying Tesla, would that be something that the U.S. government would approve?
Boy, I think they'd have a lot of questions there. I think there are a lot of CFIUS questions that would be raised there. And frankly, I don't think that would happen. I think that Elon Musk wants to control this company. It is in his blood. It's in his DNA. And I don't think that he's looking around saying, well, who can I sell this company to? Can I sell it to the Saudis? Now he may be looking for funding. That's far different. But he still wants to be the person who calls the shots at Tesla.
Paul, we'll give you the last word. Keeping in mind the stock price obviously ran up on the news and has since come off? I mean, it closed higher today, but just wonder how investors are gaming out what's going to happen next.
Well, they're obviously betting on whether this thing is really a deal or not. And, to Phil's remark, I'm not sure there's really any difference between Elon Musk as an investor or CEO. I mean, it's really hard to make that distinction. I do think he's absolutely right that, I don't think Elon Musk wants to relinquish control of this company. So whatever deal that might be done or is in the works here, clearly Elon Musk wants to retain control of this baby, that's for sure.